What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Rev Report. Today, we'll be looking at an alternative to the Audi S3, and it might actually be better than the Audi S3, and that is the 2014 Audi A3 2-litre diesel. We'll be looking at its interior, exterior, special features, exhaust note, and driving dynamics. Stay tuned. So, jumping into the interior of the Audi A3 2-litre diesel. So, starting off, we have a keyless entry in this car. It's only for the front doors. So, you just tap your hands behind the door handle. And one thing I like about it is that the mirrors don't open until you actually start the car. So, that's a nice touch when you are just trying to take something out of the car. But jumping in, we have a very nice finished interior compared to the more lesser non-S Line A3 models. We have a nicely stitched interior all throughout. We have the white stitching seats. We also have some sort of fake suede or Alcantara, if you will, on the sides, and some nice bolstering. We have stitching all across, as you can see on the center console. Also, this very nice to hold S-Line flat bottom steering wheel, which the new S3, mind you, doesn't even have. We also have paddle shifters. We unfortunately do not have the virtual cockpit that the later model A3's got. This is the pre-facelift 2014. Another thing we have here is we also have a non Bang & Olufsen, so it's a standard audio system in here, but I'll show you a trick later on as to, or actually not a trick really, but it's a hack where the AUX can be used instead of the Bluetooth, which makes the sound system much more pleasant to hear with any type of music you're listening to. Another thing we have is that we have ambient lighting. Actually, we can see it in this part now whilst we've got the car on. So as you can see, there's the ambient lighting around the cup holders. And we've also got these cool white interior lighting for the S Line model. So that's a very, very nice touch. And it's very surprising, to be honest, for a 2014 model Audi. We've also got black roof lining, and we've got these nicely finished aluminium trims all around the interior. Sitting in the A3, so jumping in, we've also got here electronically controlled seats for the driver and the passenger side with lumbar. Unfortunately, this doesn't have memory seating. It only has manually controlled electric seats. But if you know about Audi A3s and their standard manual seating adjustments, this is the much, much more preferred option. The S3 is also optional. It has optional electric seats. You do not get electric seats as standard in an S3. Another thing this car has compared to a standard A3 is that all the switchgear, the buttons around here, they have these nice touched aluminium, trimmings around them. You've also got aluminium trimmings around the center here, where you can see the handbrake, and this part, which is not even a button, is all aluminium trimmed. And yeah, that's pretty much it in the interior of the front of the A3. The seating position is very nice. You feel like you're one with the car. You feel very like it's a really easy car to drive because of the size, and it doesn't feel big. It doesn't feel, too small. It feels just right. So we'll get more on that onto driving dynamics, obviously. So yeah, this is the front. Now we'll jump onto the rear of the interior of the A3 sedan. So also closing the doors, it does sound pretty solid. As you can hear, it's got a nice thunk. So jumping into the rear, as you can see, this is the rear of the A3. It's got a decently sized rear. It could be a bit bigger, but then again, this is the A3. It's not an A4 or an A5. So it is meant to be, it is based on the Volkswagen Golf chassis. So it's not too big. So I'll just demonstrate by jumping in. So heading into the rear of the A3, it's got pretty good legroom. The seat at the front is adjusted for my liking, and I've still got plenty of legroom. The rear bench, like the rear back of the seats, it could be a bit better because it does feel a bit upright, and the headroom could be better as well. So people over 6 foot may definitely suffer in this rear seat here. Anyways, you've still got these really nice leather seats as well with the stitching for the S Line model. And now we'll move on to the boot. Please don't mind the mess. We've got a pretty decently sized boot. The liters will be mentioned in the video. And yeah, so you've got really useful bag handle here. So you can carry bags using this handle, and it's pulled by this lever here. We've got some pockets in here, and underneath this, we've also got a spare tire as well. It's a space saver spare tire. But anyways, now we'll move on to the exterior. Moving on to the exterior of the A3 S Line 2-litre diesel. So we've got much more aggressive front bumpers, side skirts, along with the rear bumpers, as you will see. But starting off with the front, we've got also LED bi-xenon headlights with automatic high beam and the swiveling when you turn the steering wheel. We've got fog lights as well for the pre-facelift S Line model. We've also got headlight washers and front parking sensors. This car also comes equipped with the adaptive cruise control. And as you can see, thanks, Bird. As you can see, the S Line A3 comes with this black grille. The non-S Line 1.6 diesel that you may have seen in my video, you can go check it out on the corner now. It has a more grayish type of grille, but this one's more blacked out, more sporty looking. And I prefer this S Line package over the non-S Line. I think the non-S Line looks more like a premium Volkswagen Golf. So, and this car is also finished in a nicer, darker silver. I'll mention the color code and the color name in the video. Coming around the side, so we've got 18-inch alloy wheels with a lower profile than the non-S Line. That's on both ends. And we've also got S Line badging. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The side is pretty simple, pretty streamlined. And then going around the back, we've got the more aggressive looking rear bumper with the dual tip exhaust pipe at the rear and the badging, so A3 2-litre TDI. And we've got rear parking sensors, full LED tail lights, and a reversing camera as well to assist us when we are reversing. So yeah, everything is there for a purpose in this car pretty much. They call it German Bauhaus design, as you may have heard. So it's design based on form over function instead of, function over form instead of just being there for the purpose of design. And yeah, so this is how the car looks in S Line form. I think most people can agree that this looks much better over the non-S Line. And I think this also completes the package as to whether or not to get an S3, but we will justify this further in going into the engine segment now that we're in the exterior. So we'll come around to the engine bay. So coming around to the engine bay, it does need a really, really good detail. But anyways, this is the 2-litre turbo diesel engine. It's famous for in many Volkswagen and Audi models in the Volkswagen group. So in this car, it makes 150 horsepower or 110 kilowatts and 320 Newton meters of torque from about 1600 or 1650 revs. So it's a pretty torquey engine, pretty good load down. And it's mated to a 6-speed dual clutch gearbox. So this is the wet clutch version. So you do need to service it every 60,000 kilometers. But it does offer a much better, much more smoother experience than the 1.6 diesel we reviewed earlier, because it is a wet clutch, so you can service it, and so it does maintain its reliability further down the line, rather than a dry clutch, which means you need to replace clutches, more expensive in the future. So yeah, and this is front-wheel drive, by the way. This is not Quattro, but I think after driving a few Quattro Audi models, including the A4 review I had earlier, I much prefer this over the Quattro model because of the lag that the Quattro models have. It's insane. I didn't think I would say it, but I think those Quattro models suffer a lot of lag, apart from probably the S or RS models. As you can see, I think there's a lot of controversy at the moment when it comes to the hood strut. So this car has the automatic hood strut, so the hood stays up without having to pull up a hood prop. So yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal with the newer cars, but I guess it's nicer to have it there already rather than you doing extra work. But that's pretty much it with the exterior of the A3. Now we'll be moving on to the exhaust note. I guarantee you it's more exciting than an RS3. Now let's move on to the driving. Let's go. Driving the A3 2-litre diesel, it's got a pretty punchy amount of torque from the low end, as mentioned before. I have to say, when cornering though, it does have a lot of body roll. But then again, it makes up for it for the adjustable steering wheel that it has, so you can adjust it between standard / comfort and dynamic modes. In dynamic, it becomes heavier, the steering wheel, so it's more, it feels like a more engaging experience. And also the handling is it's made up of how nimble it is because of its short wheelbase and short overhang of the front, along with the lightweight body. That all is compensating for the amount of body roll it makes. So it's not too bad considering it's a, you know, it's an A3 diesel, it's not an S3. Gearbox is brilliant. Gearbox is the 6-speed dual clutch as mentioned before, very quick with shifts along with manual mode, so you can chuck it in on the left side here and you can shift between gears. As you can see, it's much quicker than the AMG manual gearbox 2 from 2008, since this is a dual clutch and not a torque converter. Also, you may not be able to hear it on the video, but there is a slight whine of the turbocharger as well, so you can hear the turbocharger go off. But yeah, in terms of pickup, it's pretty much almost instant. And it's a very comfortable car to cruise in, very comfortable on the highway. Really can't go wrong with it. And the steering wheel is just so lovely to hold, this flat bottom steering wheel with the perforated leather. Unfortunately not heated steering wheel. The seats are heated, the front passenger and driver. I will also show you a special feature. So we've got a green road icon in the gauge cluster, and now the car is pretty much steering itself. So it does this for a few seconds, then it will tell me to get a hold of the steering wheel again, as you might know now. There's the pinging. So I just have to move it and then it'll enable itself again. So it's a pretty neat feature for a 2014, not gonna lie. It's a much smoother experience compared to the 1.6 diesel that we reviewed much earlier than this, given the wet clutch version in this car versus the dry clutch in the 1.6 diesel. So this is a more smoother experience, especially given that you have to service it every time. So yeah, and honestly the power output of this car is more than enough. It's very adequate for everyday use. And this 2-litre TDI diesel, it's known to be pretty bulletproof, pretty reliable. It is run by a timing belt though, so you do have to change that every 100,000 kilometers or 60,000 miles. And I think compared to the S3, this would outlast it probably 5 times over compared to the S3. So you can get this car used for about 20-25 grand and you should have no worries whatsoever. But obviously a general inspection for each car, considering it's used, is highly recommended, especially being a European car. It is a diesel, it is known to be reliable, but it's just better to have that peace of mind of inspecting it properly. And the lag is pretty much, it's much better than the Quattro version. The Quattros are just I feel like the lag just makes them so overrated. Potholes in this car are not handled well at all because of those wheels. Like, I had to pull over once just to check the wheels, see if they're all good. That wasn't even that bad, but it is like pretty bad when you feel it in here. Now I've enabled the adaptive cruise and it's stopping all on its own. So, got the whole package here. I have to say, it's a pretty good statement to get to justify getting this over a S3, given the reliability, what you get with this. Although it isn't as, handling wise, it isn't as powerful or as fun to drive as the S3, obviously, it is pretty good for what it is. And of course, it's much cheaper to own, and it's cheaper to buy as well. Now that we've finished the driving dynamics, now we have come to the end of the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please comment your thoughts. Do you think this car, this A3, is better buy than the S3, or do you reckon you still think that the S3 is the king of all sports cars at the moment? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you also like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Cheers!